starts from the night before, then it doesn't count as a fast for that day. But the second hadith here says that the messenger one day wasn't fasting, he came home looking for food. But Aisha said, we don't have anything, not a single thing. So then the messenger said, in that case I'll just fast for the day, because he hadn't eaten or drunk anything since Fajr anyway that day. So he made his intention there and then in the middle of the day and said, okay, in that case I'll fast for the day. So how do we understand these two different narrations?
Is one pertaining to Ramadan? The first one?
So
the second one is just general?
Basically, yeah. For obligatory fasts, the obligatory ones, not just Ramadan, any obligatory fast, then you have to make your intention before Fajr of that day. From the night before, the intention has to have been made. So for example, imagine you have days left to make up from last Ramadan. You have days left to make up from last Ramadan. So one day, you haven't eaten or drunk anything and it's Dhuhr time. It's got to 1 p.m. and you haven't eaten or drunk anything all day. So then you think to yourself, I've got a day left to make up from Ramadan. I haven't eaten anything all day. Let me make the intention and carry on. It's only 4:30 or something, Maghrib, and that's my day done that I needed to do for Ramadan. Correct or not? It won't count like that. It will not count like that because you didn't make your intention from the night before. You didn't make your intention before the Fajr of that morning. You have to have the intention for the whole time period. And that is from Fajr entering up until Maghrib. So in that kind of scenario, you've made your intention in the middle of the day, that will not count like that. Because it's an obligatory fast you're doing. But if it's an optional fast, one of the sunnah fasts, just a nafal fast, and in the middle of the day you make your intention, then that counts. In the middle of the day gets to midday or something, and you think to yourself, I haven't eaten or drunk all day, I'll just make the intention, I'll carry on and I'll eat at Maghrib time, call it a nafal fast. That will count. As a nafal fast, it will count from the middle of the day and you'll get your reward accordingly. And it will count as a fast. For the nafal fasts, you can do that. For obligatory fasts, you cannot. You have to make your intention before the Fajr. The only other question is, in Ramadan, do you have to make that intention every night for the following day then? Or is it enough just to have one kind of big intention for the whole of Ramadan? It's a difference of opinion. Some scholars, they say every evening you've got to make your intention for the next day. Every evening or the night before, you have to have your intention for the next day that you are going to fast it. Other scholars, they say, at the beginning of Ramadan, what's your intention? To fast the whole month of Ramadan? At the beginning of Ramadan, it's not in your intention, I'm going to fast the first day and that's it. Your intention from the beginning of Ramadan is obviously, you're thinking about the whole month. You're going to fast the whole month. Your intention is to fast every day up until Eid. That's obviously in your intention. So some scholars say that's enough. At the beginning of Ramadan, obviously in your mind, you're making the intention to fast the whole month. So then that's your intention done for the whole month. But others, they say, no, every night you should recollect that intention for the next day. And that intention doesn't mean that every night you have to take a moment to make the intention, tomorrow I'm going to fast. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take a moment to do that every night, but it just means to have that intent in your mind. So by the fact that you set your alarm for the following morning to get up for suhoor time, you've done that because you have an intention to fast. Why have you set your alarm for suhoor time? Because you have an intention to fast. So that is there, your intention is there. So that is your kind of intention now. You're going to fast the next day for the sake of Allah. So there's a difference of opinion as to whether you have to do it every single night or whether it's enough to have that one intention for the whole month. But the point is, you must have an intention. Without the intention, the obligatory fasting does not count. Then after that, عن سهل ابن سعد رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لا يزال الناس بخير ما عجلوا الفطر. In this hadith it says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the people will remain upon goodness as long as they hasten to open the fast. They will remain upon goodness as long as they hasten, they are quick to open the fast. This narration, what it is telling us is that when it is Maghrib time, when the time for Maghrib enters, you should immediately open your fast. And you should not delay after that. Because there's another hadith here in At-Tirmidhi from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. The messenger said that Allah said, أَحَبُّ عِبَادِي إِلَيَّ أَعْجَلُهُمْ فِطْرًا. The most beloved of my servants to me, the most beloved of the believers are the ones who open their fast quickly, on time. أَعْجَلُهُمْ فِطْرًا. They open their fast on time, they do not delay. So it is sunnah to open the fast as soon as the time enters to open the fast. As soon as the time enters for Maghrib, then the fast should be opened. This is important because there are many Muslims who purposely delay opening the fast at Maghrib time. They purposely delay opening the fast because they say we need to be sure, we need to be careful, give it a few minutes. Let's just be 100% sure before we eat anything. Let's be 100% sure Maghrib time has entered. Give it a 10 minutes, give it 15 minutes, let it go a bit dark. And that is actually against the sunnah. It is against the sunnah. For the rest of the year outside of Ramadan, when Maghrib time enters, does anybody question it? Does anybody ever question it? You go to the mosque at Maghrib time, does anybody ever question the mu'adhin? Just hold on, give it 10 minutes, then do the adhan. Nobody questions Maghrib time for the rest of the year because it's Maghrib time, the time is the time. So in Ramadan, the only reason they are questioning it now is because of this doubt in their minds. Let's be certain. Let's be sure. Give it another 10, 20 minutes. Let it go dark. Want to make sure we got our fast. And that is actually incorrect. It is against the sunnah to do that. When the time for Maghrib comes in and it is the accurate time, then you open your fast. You do not delay. There are people, the Shia and others, when they do fasting and other groups from the people of misguidance, then they have this kind of policy of delaying on purpose, and that is not correct. Just like Maghrib time enters for the rest of the year, in Ramadan, when it enters, you open your fast. In Muslim countries, you hear the adhan anyway. And if you know that the mu'adhin does the adhan at the right time, throughout the year he announces Maghrib at the right time, then in Ramadan, when you hear him do the adhan of Maghrib, open your fast. So that is regarding hastening to open the fast at the time of Maghrib and not to delay it. The first hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim that we mentioned there, that the people will remain upon goodness. The ummah will be upon goodness as long as they hasten, they are quick to open their fast on time. Then after that, there is another hadith عن سلمان بن عامر الضبي رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا أفطر أحدكم فليفطر على تمر فإن لم يجد فليفطر على ماء فإنه طهور. This hadith tells us what we're supposed to eat to open our fast. What food should be eaten to open the fast with. It says that if you are able, then you should open the fast with a tamr, dates. And the best kind of dates to open your fast with are what? Not a name of them, but a description. What kind of dates, what kind of description are the best ones to open your fast with?
Fresh.
Fresh meaning what?
Just right.
Anybody else? What type of dates are the best ones that the Messenger used to try and open his fast with? I'm not looking for a name, just looking for a description. Small round? Dry is an answer, but we're looking for the complete opposite. Soft, moist dates, juicy, watery ones. The ones that are kind of juicy and watery, very moist kind of dates, the rutab, those kind of ones. That is what the Prophet ﷺ used to open the fast with. Kana sallallahu alayhi wasallam yuftiru ala rutab. The Prophet ﷺ used to open his fast with the rutab, those kind of moist, soft dates. And if he could not find them, then normal dates. فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ فَعَلَى تَمْرٍ, then normal kinds of dates. And if you cannot find those either, then he would take some sips of water. فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ حَسَى حَسَوَاتٍ مِّن مَّاءٍ. He would take some sips of water to open his fast. And if none of that is available, if there are no moist kind of dates, there are no normal dates, there is no water available, then in that case you can open your fast with whatever food is available. But that is the kind of order, to have the rutab, those kind of moist, soft dates. If they're not there, then normal dates. If not, water. If not, then anything else. But most people will have access to at least water, even if not any kind of dates. And most people will have access to dates too. Then we also have عن أنس ابن مالك رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. The Prophet ﷺ said, have the suhoor meal, for indeed within the suhoor meal is blessings. There is a blessing in the suhoor meal. So we are supposed to have that suhoor meal in the mornings before the Fajr time comes in. And the Messenger said there are blessings in it. The scholars, they say the meaning of that is that it gives you some level of energy for the day, to have some food at that time before beginning the fasting, to have some level of energy for the day to be able to do your worship. Not that you're just fatigued and tired the whole day otherwise. So it gives you some energy. On top of that, the very fact that the Messenger said there's blessing in it, you don't want to miss that blessing. And it opposes the way of the Jews. Because as Shaykh Al-Fawzan mentions, when they fast, they do not have suhoor. The Jews and the Christians, when they do their types of fasting, they don't have a suhoor meal. So it is in opposition to the people of the book who fast without suhoor. We fast with the suhoor meal. And that's why Shaykh Al-Fawzan says, even if you do not feel like eating at that time, then have the smallest thing, whatever it is. Even if it's dates again, or just some water, some juice, anything small, for the sake of then having had the suhoor, and therefore having opposed the people of the book, therefore having the barakah, the blessing in that meal, you've then achieved all of those things. Even if you have the tiniest thing, a date or two or something small, some water, you've had the suhoor now. You've got that blessing, you've opposed the people of the book, and you've implemented the sunnah. When should that suhoor be had?
Just before Fajr. Before the Fajr comes in.
Exactly, just before the Fajr time enters. Just before the Fajr time starts. Some people obviously they make a mistake where they'll have their suhoor. Some of these people after Taraweeh prayer, they have a big meal at midnight and just go to sleep and that's it. They don't bother getting up till late. And that's incorrect. That's hours before the suhoor time. Suhoor, even the word suhoor, it means that early morning time of the night before Fajr. So it's supposed to be just before Fajr time enters. There's a narration the Prophet ﷺ used to have it, and then when he would finish eating it, the amount of time from when he would finish eating his suhoor up until when they would start the Fajr prayer was how long? 50 ayahs of the Quran. Imagine reading 50 ayahs of the Quran. How long would that take? 50 ayahs of the Quran. We're talking minutes, 10 minutes, whatever amount it takes. But we're not talking 40 minutes or 50 minutes or an hour. We're talking 10, 15 minutes, 50 ayahs of the Quran. That's about how long the gap would be from when the messenger finished his suhoor meal, Fajr entered, and they would pray straight away at the beginning time of Fajr. The gap would only be the gap of reciting 50 ayahs worth, whatever that is, 10, 15 minutes or so, something small. Not an hour before or an hour and a half before or anything like that. So that is regarding the suhoor and the iftar. One more thing we'll mention as well. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الوصال فقال رجل من المسلمين فإنك يا رسول الله تواصل قال وأيكم مثلي إني أبيت يطعمني الله ويسقيني فلما أبوا أن ينتهوا عن الوصال واصل بهم يوما ثم يوما ثم رأوا الهلال فقال لو تأخر الهلال لزدتكم كالمنكل لهم حين أبوا أن ينتهوا متفق عليه. In this hadith now, it talks about the topic known as al-wisal, which is that you have your suhoor meal and you start fasting. Fast for the day. When it gets to Maghrib time, you don't open your fast. You just carry on fasting. Carry on all night. All night until it gets to suhoor time again. Don't eat anything, just carry on into the next day. A continuous fast, wisal, a continuous fast for maybe 2 days or 3 days. Maybe on the third day at Maghrib you finally open your fast. Or maybe on the second day of Maghrib you open your fast. But on the first day you don't open it. You continue This is known as the issue of the continuation of fasting. Is that even allowed in Islam or not? Is it even allowed to do that? To carry on with the fast, not open it at Maghrib time, just carry on with it till maybe till suhoor. So you end up doing how long? 24 hours. If you didn't open it at Maghrib and you carried on up until suhoor time of the next morning, then you ate. So now it's been a 24-hour fast. Maybe somebody doesn't even eat then, carries on and finishes another day and opens it on the Maghrib of that second day. So is this kind of thing allowed or not? No.
Eating is the sunnah, it's not wajib.
So you're saying it's not an obligation to open the fast and therefore it's allowed to do this?
Can you not open your fast just with your own intention?
Yeah, but you don't. Even a person does not make the intention to open his fast. He makes the intention to continue.
No, because the previous hadith mentioned to hasten breaking.
But it doesn't make it an obligation.
But he says you will remain on goodness.
You'll remain upon goodness if you hasten to open the fast.
It's better to, but this person still fulfilled the obligation of fasting in the daytime.
So you're saying it's allowed. A person can make the intention, I'm not going to open it at Maghrib. I'm going to carry on. And maybe he carries on till suhoor time, so it makes it 24 hours. Maybe even then he just carries on into the next day, does another day off the previous day suhoor. Opens his fast on the second day of Maghrib.
I don't think it'll count as one fast then. Or two. Because one fast gets from suhoor to iftar.
Okay, and then he just carried on and opened it on the Maghrib of the second day, so he's done two.
Then he's done one.
Once the sun has set, the worship, the time period of the worship has ended. Once Fajr starts on the next day, the time period for the next day has started. So you've done 2 days. You just didn't have your iftar in between or suhoor, but time period for fasting is Fajr to Maghrib. So you've done 2 Fajrs to Maghribs with only one suhoor at the beginning. But is it allowed? So with this issue in this hadith, Abu Huraira says that pay attention to this hadith because it has a few things in it. The messenger, it says at the beginning, Abu Huraira says, the messenger prohibited us from continuous fasting. Prohibited us from it. But then Abu Huraira says that a man in the audience said to the messenger, but O messenger, you do continuous fasting. The messenger used to do it. He used to do it. Have suhoor, fast all day, not open it. Keep the intention, carry on going. Into the second day, carry on going. Maybe even into the third day, he used to do it. So they knew. And a man said, but O messenger, you do that. Because the messenger was now telling them, you can't do it, prohibited. So a man said, but messenger, you do that though. So then the messenger said to them, and who from among you is like me? I sleep and my Lord feeds me and gives me drink. So here the messenger was kind of telling them that yes, I do, but you are not like me, meaning that is something specific to me. But it says in the hadith, Abu Huraira says, فَلَمَّا أَبَوْا, that the Muslims there, they refused. Meaning, they kept saying, but messenger, you do it, let us do it. They kept kind of insisting. They kept insisting, let us do it. Because of the reward, etc., and to follow the messenger and do the worship like he's doing it. They kept insisting. So in the end, Abu Huraira says, when they kept insisting and they didn't want to not do that, they wanted to do it, in the end, the messenger kind of agreed then. He said to them, okay, we'll do it. All of us, you can do it with me. So they did it. They had the suhoor one day and they started fasting. Got to Maghrib of that day, none of them opened it, the messenger or the others. They carried on into the night. Suhoor time, didn't have anything, carried on into the next day. Got to Maghrib time of the next day, so now they've been fasting 2 days. 2 full days they've done, no food, no drink. That evening, so this must have been at the end of Ramadan when this happened. That evening the new moon came out. So the next day was now the day of Eid. The messenger said to them at the end of the hadith, if the moon had been delayed, if it hadn't come out tonight, I would have carried on into the next day as well. Meaning 3 consecutive days, no food, no water. He said, if the new moon hadn't come out, I would have carried on another day as well. Kalmunakkil, as though he was kind of admonishing them, that I would have carried on another day. And we know how difficult it is for the human body now, 3 days without water. So the messenger was telling them, I would have carried on another day. If the new moon didn't come out, I could have done another day. To let them understand that we wouldn't have been able to do another day. We wouldn't have been able to carry on into a 3rd day. And imagine those where they were, 3 days without water, in 40 degrees, 50 degrees, whatever it used to be, in the Arabian Peninsula, in the Middle East. So they realized from that, the messenger was trying to tell them that I would have done another day. I'm trying to tell you that I am not like you. As he said earlier in the hadith, that's what he was trying to explain to them. I'm not like you. Allah has blessed me in this way, in a different way, that I could have carried on another day. You wouldn't have been able to. And they were kind of realizing, we wouldn't have been able to do another day. So now then, that's the hadith. Now that you've heard this hadith, what's the ruling then? Is continuous fasting allowed or not?
Yeah, because after he prohibits it, then he allows it.
So, you're saying yes, it is allowed because at the end of the day the messenger did let them do it. If it was completely haram to do that, prohibited, then how did the messenger let them do it? How did he let them do it then? So possibly, anybody else? Not allowed, why?
Prophet just showing them that it would be hard for them.
So,
Another example, yeah.
all right, this is exactly it. So there are differences of opinion on this issue of whether it is allowed to do continuous fasting or not. The majority of the scholars, the majority of them, the Jumhur, they say it is haram to do it. You have to open your fast at Maghrib. And they use those previous narrations. They say, look, the narrations say that this ummah will be upon goodness as long as you open your fast on time. How can you oppose that hadith and not open your fast? The goodness will disappear from the ummah. And the most beloved of the servants to Allah are the ones who open their fasts on time. And because at the beginning of this hadith, initially the messenger had outright started by telling them, it's prohibited. The messenger had begun outright by telling them at the start, it's prohibited. Only when they insisted and insisted, he kind of let them do it to show them practically why it's prohibited and they can't do it. So that was only a practical example to show them, look, you can't do it. This is why I'm telling you, you can't do it. So at the end of the day, the ruling was, you're not allowed to do it. And that physical, practical example was to show them, this is why I'm telling you, you can't do it. So the majority of the scholars, they say it is not allowed at all. You have to open your fast at Maghrib. You're not supposed to continue the fasting after that. The second opinion, there are 4 opinions in total. the second opinion, that it's completely permissible. Permissible. It's allowed to do it if you want. And they say that because if it was absolutely prohibited and haram, then the messenger wouldn't have let them do it to show them. It's like, imagine something else haram, alcohol is haram. You cannot say to somebody, okay, have some, get drunk, and then you'll know why it's haram. You can't say that to them. Haram, haram. You can't let them do it and then say this is an example. So they say no. The fact that the messenger let them do it shows that it can't be outright haram. If it was outright haram, he would never have let them do it even to show them. So the fact that he let them do it to show them, whatever reason, he let them do it at the end of the day, showing that it's an action that can be done. It's not prohibited outright. So that is the opinion of the second group of scholars. But they do say, even though they say it's allowed, they say it's better that you don't. So the second opinion, they say it's allowed because look, the messenger allowed them to do it. So it is allowed if somebody insists, but it's better that you don't. The third opinion, some of the scholars have this opinion, they say it is impermissible except for the one who is physically capable. If you are genuinely physically capable of doing it, then you can do it. It's allowable, like the second opinion says, but only for those who are capable. They say if you're not capable, your body cannot take it, and you do it, then you're doing something haram. Person tries to do it and he cannot do it, he falls unconscious, other medical issues arise, haram. But if somebody is fit and healthy and they do have the ability, they say, okay, opinion 2, then you can. So opinion 3 is like opinion 2, but they make the difference of saying it's only allowed if you are genuinely capable of it. If you're not, and you're just going to do it and you insist, but you can't really do it, your body can't take it, you're going to fall unconscious or this or that, then it's haram for you. The fourth opinion, which is actually the opinion of Imam Ahmad. He's not with the majority of the scholars on this one. Imam Ahmad is not with the Jumhur on this issue. He's not with the majority on this issue. What is the opinion of Imam Ahmad? He said,
Is it no more than 3 days?
that's too much.
2 days.
2 days.
Too much. Day and a half, which is up till a day and a half means from suhoor till maghrib is like a day. But then if you carry on from there till suhoor, you've added that time on. Imam Ahmad says you can do that. So you can do a fast which is how many hours? 24 hours. Imam Ahmad says it is permissible to go up to 24 hours. No more than that. He says if you begin at suhoor time, fast all day, you can carry on after maghrib, don't open it. Carry on all the way till suhoor time. Now you have to eat. So now it's like you're having your iftar and suhoor in one. When you have your suhoor, it's technically your iftar. That's when you're opening your 24-hour fast. But then it's also your suhoor for your next day of fast. So a 24-hour fast. He says you can do that if you want. And the reason why you can do that, there is actually a hadith he uses as an evidence, and it's in Bukhari, where the messenger said, La tuwasilu, do not do continuation of fasting. فَأَيُّكُمْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يُوَاصِلْ فَلْيُوَاصِلْ إِلَى السَّحْرِ. But if any of you want to continue, then you can do so up until the suhoor. Hadith in Bukhari. And Imam Ahmad says, okay, there you go. You can do that then. Because the messenger said, don't do continuous fasting. But if someone does wish to do so, then you can do it up until only the suhoor time, 24 hours. So again, the narration does begin by saying, don't do it. But if you are going to do it, you can up until suhoor. So all of the narrations kind of indicate that clearly the best thing to do is open the fast and not do it. If somebody really took this fourth opinion and said, well, look, Imam Ahmad said because of the hadith in Bukhari, you can go up to suhoor time, you can't say the person has committed a sin or bid'ah or done something wrong. Technically, it's there. But the other narrations about opening your fast and opening it on time, you've missed all of that then. You've missed all of those sunnah actions. So the best thing is to open the fast on time. But that opinion of Imam Ahmad does exist because of the hadith in al-Bukhari saying you can do so up until the suhoor time. Shaykh al-Fawzan takes this fourth opinion. Shaykh al-Fawzan takes the same opinion as Imam Ahmad, and he says that perhaps the rajih, perhaps the preponderant, the strongest opinion is about continuing up until the suhoor time. But that it is not the better thing to do. The better thing to do is open your fast at iftar time. Carrying on till suhoor, you can, but it's not the best thing to do. The best thing is to open your fast on time. Then, final hadith we'll do for today. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu again قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به والجهل فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. It's in al-Bukhari and Abu Dawud. The Messenger said, whoever does not leave false statements and speech and behavior upon that falsehood and ignorance and foolishness, whoever does not leave all of that kind of thing, then Allah has no need for him to leave his food and drink. The meaning of this hadith is, as Shaykh al-Fawzan explains, there are two types of things that break your fast. Physical things and non-physical. Physical things that break your fast are obviously food and drink, etc. Physical things, they break your fast. And as for, instead of saying physical and non-physical, what we should say is, there are things that break your fast in reality, and there are things that break your fast in meaning. That's the better way to explain it. Things that break your fast in reality, like food and drink, breaks your fast. And things that break your fast in meaning. So the things that break your fast in reality, food, drink, intercourse, etc. The things that break your fast in meaning, what that means is that your fast is broken in terms of your reward, but it still counts in terms of a day. Your day counts. You've done it. The day counts. But your reward for that day is broken. And those kinds of things are lying, backbiting, storytelling, evil speech, swearing, bad behavior, deceit. All of those kinds of behaviors, they break your fast in terms of your reward. So if a person is fasting and spends the whole day lying about people, backbiting people, spends the whole day like that, it's possible that at the end of the day, he gets barely any reward for his fast for that day. But it counts as a day. Counts as a day, but barely gets any reward for it. He wasted all of his reward in his evil behavior during the day. This is a bit like the prayer. how that hadith mentions when you pray, you could come out of it with only a tenth of the reward. Because during the prayer, your mind was preoccupied. Your mind was thinking about different things, thinking about this, thinking about that. You weren't even focused on your prayer. Your prayer counts, but you'll only get maybe a tenth of the reward. You lost all the rest of your reward because you weren't focused on your prayer. Same thing with the fasting. The day will count, but if you've been lying, backbiting, carrying tales, all that type of thing, then at the end of the day, the reward for that day may be all lost, or majority of the reward may be lost in your backbiting and lying and all that kind of behavior. That's why it says in the hadith, if a person doesn't leave that type of thing, then Allah has no need for you to leave your food and drink. Meaning that this is not what Allah has commanded you to do. Allah has not commanded us to stop eating and drinking, but carry on lying and cheating and deceiving and backbiting. That isn't the point of fasting. The point of fasting is to drop all of that behavior too, to rectify oneself. And that's why the Salaf, they used to say, the easiest part of fasting is what? To leave food and drink. To not eat and not drink. They used to say that is the easiest part of fasting. Not eating and not drinking, that's the easiest part of fasting. What is the difficult part of fasting then? Stopping your evil speech and behavior. Making sure you're not lying, you're not backbiting, you're not carrying tales, you're not deceiving, cheating, cursing. That is the difficult part. To control your behavior and to rectify yourself. Not eating, not drinking, everybody can manage that. But how many people can manage their day without backbiting anyone, without lying about someone, without being evil upon their speech or actions? That is where the real difficulty is. So this narration is highlighting that point, that there are things that break your fast in meaning. And that is all of this bad behavior and bad speech and bad actions. They break your fast in meaning. Your reward is taken away bit by bit, until you may have no reward left for that day. The day counts, but you have barely anything left in terms of reward. So they are the types of things that break your fast in meaning. And as for the actual things that break your fast, then that is the food and the drink and those kinds of things. That is where we'll leave it for today. Next week we're going to start on the next hadith, which is about cupping. Is it allowed to get cupping done to yourself when you're fasting? And in fact, is it even allowed to do cupping to someone else? Maybe somebody's not fasting. Maybe they're a traveler and they come into your clinic. Are you allowed to cup someone when you're fasting? They may have a legitimate reason not to be fasting, but you're fasting. Can you cup somebody? Or can you be cupped? Can you get the cupping done if you're fasting? So the issue of cupping whilst fasting. Is it permissible? Is it not? What are the rulings on that? That's what we're going to begin with next time, insha'Allah ta'ala. And then we're also going to get into medical issues about eye drops, nose drops, ear drops, inhalers, all of those kinds of things when fasting. Each one of those, what is the ruling on them? And then it goes on to some other topics. We'll do those from next week, insha'Allah ta'ala. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Any questions or anything up to there?
When it goes to the hadith about hastening to break your fast, the goodness, what's the connection between the two?
The goodness and hastening to open the fast. This is just a reward from Allah. That if you hasten to open your fast and you implement the sunnah, then that is what brings barakah into the ummah. Allah puts barakah into the ummah, puts barakah into those Muslims, gives them blessings, gives them goodness, as long as they implement the sunnah of opening the fast early.
I have a question. You mentioned the acts which break the fast in meaning. If you repent from that on the same day, is your reward for the fast still intact?
Possibly then yes, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you for that action, then hopefully your reward is intact. That's normally when the scholars they say yurja lahu al-khair. Goodness is hoped for that person then. He repented on the same day, then goodness is hoped for him that his reward is intact.
Is the reward for continuous fasting the same as doing a normal fast?
Basically, yeah, but you could even argue that you're actually missing out on some of the rewards. That's why basically all of the opinions are saying don't do it. But if somebody really insists, then they can do it. But all of the opinions are generally saying don't do it. You're going to miss out on the reward of hastening to open the fast. And that narration then is not applicable to you. So it's a normal kind of reward, it appears, with the absence of a few things.
You know, someone at the start of Ramadan makes an intention that every day I'm going to do the continuous fast, and he made that intention, and then a couple of days in he realized, okay, this isn't me. Is he sinful for not fulfilling that?
He makes the intention he's going to do like every day till suhoor.
Yeah.
So he's going to do a 24-hour thing throughout the month.
Yeah, but then...
If he makes an intention to do it, firstly, it's wrong for him to make that intention. He shouldn't make an intention like that I'm going to do this for the whole of the month, the fasting up until suhoor. You're going against the sunnah, generally speaking. So a person shouldn't have that intention in the first place. But if you make that intention and don't do it, there's nothing upon you. There's no sin. You made an intention that you want to try and do that and you couldn't do it. Okay, it's not a vow. If somebody makes a vow they're going to do something, now you're held accountable if you don't. But a person generally has the idea and the thought and the intention, I'm going to try and do X, Y, Z, but he doesn't manage it, there's no sin upon you then.
If you're breaking your fast and you're surrounded by those who delay opening their fast, do you wait with them or?
No, open the fast and advise them and encourage them and tell them the sun has gone down. And Allah has told us in the Quran that you fast up until the sun sets, إِلَى غُرُوبِ الشَّمْسِ. Advise them, explain to them, tell them the time has come in. You don't delay it with them.
With regards to the hadith that mentions if you can't find any gates, then have water. I read Bulugh al-Maram online, and there was an additional part to it which said that water is purifying.
Correct, that's in the hadith. فَإِنَّهُ طَهُورٌ. Because water is pure, purifying. That's given as one of the reasons why you should open your fast with water. And the dates as well, the reason why they say you should open your fast with dates, especially the juicy kind of ones, is because of their sugar content and things like that. As Shaykh Al-Fawzan mentions it, it's a good type of food after your stomach hasn't eaten for several hours to get that energy, to get that bit of sugar. It's a good type of food to open your fast with, and that is perhaps the wisdom in the sunnah as to why you open it with dates. And the water here, it says, فَإِنَّهُ طَهُورٌ, because it is pure, purifying. Anybody else? Alright, we'll stop on that for today then. Insha'Allah ta'ala, continue next week.